We're sitting here with Jim Sylvia. Jim, can you tell everybody what city you're from, what shop you work at?
I work at Black Anchor in Hollywood, and we're here at the shop right here on the sidewalk in the middle of Melrose.
Okay, you moved from Boston a couple years ago.
Yeah.
To Los Angeles. When did you move? Why did you move to Los Angeles? What brought you over here?
I made the move in September 2007, so this month it's been 11 years. It's crazy because it feels like it's flown by. Like, it doesn't feel like 11 years. It feels very short. But I made the move because I was always California dreaming as a kid. I grew up with things, obsessive about skateboarding and surfing and cars and pretty much LA culture. And then I finished college, and then I had a lot of negative things in life. There was a lot of death and friends passing away, and so it kind of like I had to sit back and think, what do I want to do in life? Am I happy here? Where do I go? And I just up and moved. I pretty much got rid of everything I had. I went down to 2 suitcases and just drove cross country.
How long were you tattooing at that point?
Maybe 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about going back to Boston?
Moving back?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't move back. I go back there and visit a lot. My entire family's there. I'm the only one here. But I'm married now, and my wife and her family's here, so we're pretty rooted in LA, so I don't think we'll be going anywhere.
You switched from working at a studio to a private studio, now back to a studio or another shop.
Yep.
What are the differences that you enjoy between working at a private? What are the pros and cons between working at a private studio versus working for a shop?
Well, I feel like I've done a little bit of everything. I've worked in street shops. I've worked in like custom shops. I've worked in private studios and guested in many different shops. So I have a good understanding of how each one kind of goes. I did the private studio because it was something I wanted to give it a try. It was appealing at the time. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say I wouldn't do it again. It's just not the plan right now. But I do enjoy being back into a shop with other artists to just have fun with and goof off all day and have conversation and bounce artwork off each other and do things together. Or when you're in a private studio, once your clients leave, it's just you. So you have no one to go out to dinner with, or no one to, you know. Yeah,
especially at Black Anchor, you guys have an amazing crew there between Nico and all the guys in Hesperia and the guys here.
Yeah.
A ton of great people to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, and there's always someone guest spotting. And it's cool. People want to come say hi, hang out. And
what's it like having a shop being right in the middle of Hollywood?
It's wild. There's like, I mean, a pig just walked by. That's my first time seeing a pig walking by itself down the street. Yeah, I mean, this street is kind of like, I don't know, like a giant outdoor mall almost. Every day it's just a lot of young people walking around, and it's pretty wild. But as soon as you go in the door of the shop,
it's totally professional.
Yeah, it's super professional. You don't see that craziness, but you step outside and you're like reminded quickly that you're on Melrose.
If you could go back in time and give yourself some advice, what would it be? Or like to a young Jim Sylvia?
Oh man. Like when I was starting and young and learning to tattoo, or even just in high school as a teenager, I was so nervous about because I knew I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to be a tattoo artist. I knew since like 13 or 14 years old is when I started to kind of learn and sponge. And at the time I lived in an apartment building with a tattoo artist. So I could see it, and I could see that it was a career or an option that I really wanted to do. So I was so worried. I was like very hungry and trying real hard, and it'd be cool to just go back and show, hey, it's gonna work. Like, you will become a tattoo artist, and you will move to California, and you will find everything that you're looking for. And I think to just like a reassurance of, future happiness, like shit gets better.
This is probably a question you get often, but what would you be doing if you weren't a tattoo artist?
It's funny, I have this weird list that keeps growing where I'll be sitting on the couch and I see something, I'm like, oh, I feel like that would be an awesome career. And they're super strange. But the obvious one would be a musician. I was a musician my whole life. I played drums. I played with bands. I've toured tattooing with bands. So music is the biggest hobby of mine, and outside of tattooing, it's all consuming pretty much.
Jody told us she would raise donkeys.
Race or raise?
Raise donkeys.
Okay.
I was like, I've never heard of that as a dream job.
We every now and then some TV show about plastic surgery will come on, and I sometimes fantasize about how cool it would be to be a plastic surgeon. I don't know, like that's one of them. And then I don't know, there was another one that we were joking about the other day, my wife and I. But
it seems like seminars and conventions are popping up left and right to share information with fellow artists. What are your thoughts on these seminars and these conferences happening?
I mean, I've only been to one, and it was the one last year at the Golden State that Black Anchor Academy throws, and it was fun. It was cool. It was a long day. I forget how many, maybe 10 or 11 presenters, and it was just one after another after another. So it was cool. It's information overload. Like, you go there and you just take as much notes as you can. You try to sponge. I think it's great for people that are really learning their direction or their craft right now. And it's great to go to every different type of seminar of different artists to really maybe even find the direction you want to go in. Zooming by. But what was I saying? I would like to go to more. Like I said, I've only been to that one day. I've never presented at one. I've been asked, and it scared me so much. I don't know how much of a public speaker I would be, or how good I'd be at it, or what I would even talk about, but I would like to attend more. It's cool because when I started tattooing, no one wanted to teach you anything. No one wanted to tell you stuff. It had to be earned, and you had to find somebody and prove yourself to them, and then earn knowledge as you go. I think that's cool too. That's a good aspect, because the people that are really wanting that knowledge will seek it. But this is another great aspect, because those people that want the knowledge will seek these seminars and conventions and classes.
I attended one back in St. Louis back in May, and it was very, even from a non-tattoo artist perspective, it was very informational. And it was information overload, because I sat through them all, and it felt like a lot of it went over my head. But at the same time, though, it was interesting to sit there and listen to Dan Pemble talk about his design process. Yeah. Even though it doesn't really apply to my everyday life.
Yeah. I love that. I love anything, I don't know, like, I love watching documentaries. I love learning about different trades and crafts, and just kind of, it'd be cool to sit at different seminars. Like, I've gone to Nico's seminar, and I mean, I haven't done realism. I don't know the first thing about realism, but his seminars lately have been about, like, as an artist or a person, and how to approach things, and as not so specific as, this is how I put this color in, this is the machine I use, this is the equipment I use. Like, so there's a whole range of seminars and opportunities to learn.
In the past 10 years, tattooing has changed quite a bit. What are the best ways it's changed, and what are the worst ways it's changed?
It has changed a lot. Off the top of my head, I would say the best way it's changed is it is now, I don't know a better word for it, but mainstream. Like, it's everywhere, and it's accepted. It's not looked down upon. You're not like a hoodlum, you're not a biker, you don't look like, you know, just because if you're heavily tattooed doesn't mean you've been in prison, or that, you know, whatever. The negative stuff, I don't know. I try not to really focus on negative stuff. I try to stay pretty positive about everything. There is a lot. I would say an oversaturation of tattooers, but there's enough people in the world that everyone can tattoo and still, you know, have food on their table, and I think it's okay.
Do you deal with people copying your work on Instagram at all?
I used to a lot. a lot. I don't really pay attention to that anymore, and it used to really bum me out because I would either get an email or a text or something from the person that has the tattoo, and they're usually bummed. And I never know what to say to them, like other than I'm sorry, like you know what I mean. Like
It's not your fault.
I know, but it does lose a little bit of a specialness to that person, where they left thinking, oh yeah, this is awesome, this is mine. You know, we created it together. And
Sorry.
no, Rose. What was I saying about? Oh yeah. So yeah. I was just always bummed, but I think it started happening less and less, and then I just try not to focus on it or give any attention to the artist. Like I used to like even save the photo and like just kind of like has my own little record, but nothing ever comes of it. And
Justin Hartman was talking at Explore about how he kind of does different odd angles now because he had somebody rip off that tiger back piece he did a couple years ago, and they did a very nice replica job of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, thank you.
Thank you.
That's Supreme Life.
Yep. And the guy was good enough that he could replicate Justin's work. And
Yeah.
he was good enough to
So
actually do the work.
it looked good, like
yeah,
a
it
well
looked like
done.
a good tattoo.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know that Justin did the original one, and that's what sucks is like, you know, you put so much time and effort into the design.
Yeah.
Somebody rips it off, but it's part of the double-edged sword of Instagram.
Justin and I have actually talked about that quite a bit. Like the last time he was here, he was staying at my house and we were guesting. And I finished tattooing. I look on Instagram, and then one of the first things I saw was a complete tattoo of mine ripped off at a shop just down the street, which is odd because either the person didn't know it was a ripoff because the artist kind of did it, but if the client knew, I would have just done it. Like I'm down the street. There's no problem. I would have tattooed him, but okay.
If there's one thing that you could change about tattooing, what would it be?
If I could change.
Positive or negative? I know you just say you don't focus on the negative, so we're
Yeah,
on the positive.
I don't know. I think the one thing personally I would change with my life and how I do things is I would try to find more of a balance of life and tattooing. I've struggled with that for a bit because I'll go through times where I work 7 days a week and then a year goes by and I feel like I'm burning myself out, but I was in that mode of just work and travel, and then like something will happen in my personal life where I'm like, oh, well, I got to figure out how to spend more personal life, and then like years have gone by and I haven't done this or gone here or visited this person. All I do is work. So I think what I would change is somehow to figure out, I mean, it has nothing to do with the industry, but I mean, that's a big part of
more of a
personal thing, yeah.
There's a noticeable difference between the tattooing in the USA and Europe. What do you think causes that?
I think there used to be a very noticeable difference, and that was before social media, really, because things didn't really spread further than the small area that you were in. That's how like crazy styles start. That's how like California style or Texas style or East Coast. Should we wait?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Helicopter. So, yeah, and then when I started traveling, conventions and guest spots, I would see like small, I don't know what the word would be, but like small styles and different styles of people emulating someone in that area that's doing it really well. Like, if you go to Australia, you can see the person that's influenced a lot of the people years ago in Australia. Or if you go to Northern Europe, you can see there's one or two artists that have influenced a lot of the younger tattooers. But I think now with Instagram, that influence just spread, and it's worldwide.
So you do a lot of European conventions.
I have, yeah.
Which ones do you enjoy doing the most?
I'm leaving in 2 weeks to do the London Tattoo Convention. That one's a lot of fun. It's cool being in the city because everyone you know is there. It's like a big reunion, gather, meetup. I've gone to the show and I've done like guest spots surrounding it and making my stay a little bit longer, which is always fun too. The biggest one that I go to every year for sure is Paris. The Tintin show is awesome, the Mondial de Tatouage, and I've slowly diminished my conventions down just because of that, going back to the work-life balance thing. Once you have a relationship with somebody and you get married and you don't want to like constantly leave them and travel a lot, and so I've been picky. I've been picking the ones that I really enjoy, I know are going to be huge, and yeah, just getting a little more selective with that. But yeah, Europe's fun. I go there a lot.
What is the ratio of one-shot tattoos you do versus large-scale pieces?
I would say it's widespread.
I was going to say, from a lot of artists, you know, a lot of artists who just focus on large-scale pieces. You seem to be an artist that has a fair mixture.
I enjoy the mixture too, because when there's all of just one, if you have like the next, like you look at your appointment book and the next 3 weeks are all one-shots, and you're like overloaded with how much homework you have to do, and you're like, oh my god, I have to draw all of these, and I have to draw them now. But then when you have something that's like ongoing work that's already been outlined, and you're like, oh, I don't have to have homework for that appointment. So it's kind of nice to sprinkle in a little bit of both, big and little. Sometimes like I'll look at people's work and I'll be like, oh man, that must be so cool to just be doing suits all the time. And then the more I think about it, I'm like, oh my god, that's a lot of work. Like that's intense. So I find a happy medium, just doing a little bit of everything. Like lately it's been a lot of sleeves, but I do have a lot of people that come from out of town or out of state, and I just try to do one-shots on them because there's way more satisfying when someone flies in to get tattooed and they leave with something complete, and it's not just an outline or like only halfway up.
If you didn't end up moving to California, or if you wanted to leave California, where would you go?
I don't know. I've never thought of that. I think I would have to, because it's not just me anymore. I'm married, so we would have to travel around and see if there was a place that like felt like home. I mean, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I don't think I would leave, to tell you the truth. I'm pretty happy here.
How much do you use iPads versus traditional pen and paper? Are you strictly a digital person now?
So that's been another like thing in my life that I've been putting a lot of thought into, because when I had a private studio, I was close, and for many years I did all my artwork at the shop. I didn't bring artwork home because I didn't get like artist block or writer's block. I found that when I went home, I would do home stuff and personal things, either artwork for myself or paintings or just my life. And then at shop was work and homework and artwork and drawing. And for some reason, the separation helped with my creative process. But once I moved to this shop a year ago, I couldn't just come here for a couple of hours on my days off and just draw, because you're just fighting traffic, and it was wearing on me. So I decided to give this iPad thing a good try, give it a chance, and I was like, it's all around me, all my friends use them, and like my buddy Justin was one of the main people that was like, dude, you got to try it, why aren't you doing it, it's going to help you. And then I like went on a trip to Israel, and I was the only one that was hand drawing. Everyone else had iPad drawings, and they're like, dude, you gotta try it, it's gonna save your life, it's gonna save time, make things easier. So I finally did it, and I think it's been 1 year, and I've done every single drawing I've done in the past year. For all my appointments and all my other stuff has been on it.
It's completely changed your workflow?
It has. There was a bit of a learning curve at first because I was very frustrated because you could just do something real quick on paper, and I didn't want to just resort back to that. So I really just said, from here on out, I'm going to give myself this.
You have to learn it.
Yeah, I have to learn it. I have to figure it out. And then everyone I knew, I'd like text. I'd be like, hey, how did you do this? Is there like a special brush? And then like I was talking to Russ Abbott about it, and he was giving me some tips, and like the guys at the shop all had tips, and then I bought all the stuff from, was it Tattoo Smart?
Yeah,
all those brushes. And I was like, oh,
yep.
That's how you do circles on it.
Yep.
I've been trying to figure this. I used to bring my circle templates with the iPad, and I would hold it down so carefully and draw. I'm like, this is so backwards. Like, why am I using an analog thing to make a digital drawing? But it's funny.
So, can you tell us personal stuff, like you own an old school Bel Air?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Where'd you get it from? How much work have you put into it? Do you take it to the car show competitions?
Yeah. So the love of cars started young. My dad was into cars. My dad had a ton of like classic cars and muscle cars, and I always thought it was the coolest thing. And I couldn't wait till I could get my license and have one. And then you get your license and you're poor, and you're in school and then tattooing, and then you're trying to, there's so much stuff pulling your attention and your time. But I always wanted to have at least one classic car. So when I moved to California, I started collecting. I would buy small ones that weren't good, and projects, and maybe a little bit in over my head, and I would sell those. And then the one I always wanted was a 54 Bel Air, and I decided I'm going to buy one. I started the search, and it was old school. You're looking through ads, you're looking through things online. There was like a thing, there was a website called The Ham, and I ended up finding an ad that it was in a garage. It had been sitting in a garage for like 30 years. The guy moved out of state, and he left it in his parents' house, and he was like, I have to get rid of it. So I'm like, I'm going to go check this out. And it was like one of those rare like stories where like it's like a garage find. It's untouched. No one knows it's there. And I got there. It was super taken care of. It had, like, I think it had 4 or 5 blankets on it. Like no dust on it. Like it had just been sitting there unused. And I had the opportunity to buy it super cheap because he had to sell it that day because he flew in and he had to fly out that night. And I think I was the only person that went. So I got it, towed it home. And I think that was like 8 or 9 years ago now. So it's been a long project. I would work on it slowly and then save up. I got it running and driving, and it was stock, so I was running and driving around town for a little bit as I would save up to do the custom stuff, like the big, I don't know how to weld, I don't know how to do metal work, and I'm not a fabricator, and this wasn't the project to try it and learn it on. So I would find people that were good at it and reach out to them and then save up. So it's been a long project. It's so close to being done now. I can drive it around and everything. There's just a little bit of issues. It doesn't have glass windows in it yet. So if I go anywhere, you can just reach in and unlock it. So stuff like that. Just little.
Great.
Thank you. But it's fun. Hopefully I'll get it painted soon and do those little finishing touches, and it'll be ready for car shows or whatever. And I just want to drive it. It's like the biggest test of your patience having it, but it's in like being worked on for a long time. Like it was away from me for like 3 years when one of the guys had it that was doing the chop and all the custom stuff. Yeah. And it was so like, oh, I just want it. Like you'd see one, you'd be like, oh, I have one, I have a car. Like I just want to drive, and now you got it, and I just want to drive it as much as I can.
So can you tell us what you're working on for the remaining part of 2018? Any projects? I know you said you're going to the London convention.
Yeah, just London convention. We're going to travel just for fun for a little bit around Europe. What else? I have, I'm doing an event in Boston. It's just going to be a small event at a record shop that my friend owns. I've been meaning to go back and actually make tattoos for old clients and friends that I don't get to see, because every time I go back, it's for some other reason, and I don't get to tattoo them, or it's just a layover, and they're always like, oh, you're in town, can you do this, can I do that? So I needed to set aside a time where I could just specifically go there just to tattoo them and not do the other stuff. So we're going to do a small event at this record shop where I'm going to set up, and I'm going to tattoo them, and we're going to do some sort of, we haven't figured it out yet, we're going to do a little bit of collaboration between myself and my artwork and them, and a little bit, maybe some, a live music show, maybe some friends come out, we'll see, we'll figure it out. But that's all in the works right now. And then, the fall, the holidays come quick, so if you're not planning it now, the year's going to end fast.
So if anybody's interested in getting tattooed by you, how should they get a hold of you?
The easiest way is through email. My email is jimsylvia@hotmail.com. Hotmail, not Gmail. Or you can stop by the shop while I'm here, and we can have an in-person consultation. For if you're out of town or out of state or out of the country and you want to get tattooed, just shoot me an email. It's just me. I answer all my own emails, so they take a little bit of time. Sometimes I set a time. I usually set time on Mondays while I'm not drawing for my appointments for the week to try to answer all the emails. I try to get through all of them myself, so feel free to reach out, and I'll do my best to get back.
What's your Instagram handle?
It's Jim Sylvia Tattoo. The pig's back.
The pig is back.
Oh man, he's back. What's up? Oh my gosh.
Thank you very much for sitting down with us. We really appreciate it. We're huge fans of your work.
Oh, thank you.
And we're very grateful for you to take the time to talk with us.
Well, of course, dude. Anytime. I'm super grateful. I'm a huge fan of Tattoo Snob since the beginning. You guys have been nothing but so helpful, and I tried to go back and see when it even started, but Tattoo Snob has been featuring my work and interviews and stuff with me for at least 10 years, maybe?
Yeah, so it's probably been 10, 11 years.
Every time I get a repost or anything, I'm super honored, and it's super cool to hang out with you and do an interview, and that you would even come just to talk to me is pretty rad.
No, we're huge fans of your work, and thank you. So.
Hell yeah, thanks,
right.
Dude.
Cool, thank you very much.